And we are live, ladies and gents. A big warm welcome back. And what a turbulent 24 hours it has been in the UK. If you don't know, we have just had an election. So we have a new Prime Minister and a new government. We're going to talk about all of this as well as a few weird things today. And then we'll sort of move into and outline what you can expect now going forward. But just a real quick mention and reminder, the Cashflow Mastery Program is now out. This is the ultimate course for building a large monthly income. So just quick shout out here. Thank you to John, Rodney, Lisa, Nigel. These are all the people who have just enrolled in the program. Christopher, Paul, Taylor, Andrew, Robert. The list goes on. So thank you so much, everyone who's just enrolled. And we've got module 4 coming out tomorrow, which is going to be awesome. Each module just gets better and better and builds on the last. So let's go over them. Let's get onto the shared screen here. And let's start going through. We'll start with the wacky bits and then we'll go into the unusual stuff. I want to know if you noticed this as well. So we had all sorts of parties, from the monster raving loony party to Count Binface. Yes, he actually got a lot of votes. This is only in Britain. If you are an American watching, you're probably like, the Brits are weird. You guys are weird. Yeah, we are. We do do a lot of weird stuff. Talking of weird stuff, did you hear Starmer? This is the new PM. Did you hear his speech? How he opened the speech? Listen to this and tell me if you don't find this really strange.
I want to thank the outgoing Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak. His achievement as the first British Asian Prime Minister of our country, the extra effort that will have required, should not be underestimated by anyone.
Now, I don't know about you, but I thought that was the strangest acceptance farewell speech that I had heard, where he's congratulating Rishi Sunak, the outgoing Prime Minister, for being Asian. He's British Asian. He's saying, congratulations, your achievement was being British Asian. And okay, I mean, that was a weird way to open an acceptance speech and everything else. I thought that was the most bizarre thing. Not, hey, Rishi, well done with this or that. No, he congratulated him for being British Asian. But anyway, let's move on. So this is what I found really strange. I want to know if you noticed this as well. So on all of the coverage I saw, and again, you may have saw different coverage than I saw, but on all the coverage I saw, they said it was going to be a Labour landslide from the start, and it was. They added 211 seats. The Conservative Party lost pretty much most of their seats. They lost 250. Lib Dems as well, SNP, Scottish National Party, etc. Lib Dems, Liberal Democrats, I should use the full name, gained 63 seats, as did Labour. So we saw this massive shift first and foremost. But one thing I thought was unusual was they kept mentioning seats. And the reason I thought that was strange, and even I didn't notice this at first, because especially when I first woke up, I'm just reading through, okay, let's see what happened. I saw last night that Labour had done it anyway, but I was watching the coverage and they just kept mentioning seats. They kept talking about seats all the time. Seats, this party's won these seats. Now, this is what I thought was unusual. I only noticed this later on. I started digging into not the seats, but the votes. And because they didn't mention certain parties, like some of the ones that I know many of you will have voted for, like Reform Party, the Workers' Party. There was a lot of fringe parties, independents, which, funny enough, if there was just one of these parties instead of loads of them, they actually would have got quite a significant amount of votes. But of course, this is what happens in the elections. You have your two main parties, and then you have a lot of outliers. And yeah, over time, a lot of the outliers might build up and they might become a front runner in the future. But this is actually how it goes. So this is what I noticed, which they haven't mentioned anywhere. If you look at this landslide of votes, which was 9.6 million, Conservatives got 6.8 million. So yeah, there is a big difference. There's a 50% uplift there. Liberal Democrats, 3.5 million. And then what you see here, look at this. So 708,000 votes, 210,000. When you start going down, you see like the Independent. Actually, the Reform Party, which they really did a strong media job at suppressing them at all costs, they actually got 4.1 million votes. And I'm just wondering, please drop in the comments, did you notice that as well? So they did, but they kept pushing parties like the, who was it? Like they kept talking about Sinn Féin and the SNP and all these other parties. Or, you know, they got this amount of votes. Well, really, they got 2.5% or 0.7%, or even here 2%. But you actually look at a party like Reform, they got 14.3% of the vote. They got 4 million votes. Now, here's my theory on why they're pushing all these other parties that they've been talking about. My theory on this, and then I want to go on to a couple of other points, is that A, the media is very well controlled, as we know, and they have their favourites, obviously Labour, Conservative. But I think the reason they're not mentioning this is because they want everyone to think that some of these other parties, and again, I'm not for any right political parties, you know, I'm more libertarian in my viewpoint. But what I want you to notice is that they wanted you to think that a party like, let's just say, Reform, didn't get any votes. It is as if that all the media that they said, you know, they're racist, they're bigots, they're this, they're that, they're anti-British and everything else. They wanted the public to think beforehand and afterwards that Reform just didn't get any votes. They didn't really get anywhere. You didn't really hear much mention of it on the media outlets that I personally watch. But the truth of the matter is they actually got a lot of votes. Let's just look at that again. They got, if you look at the leader, Labour, 9.6 million. Reform actually got 4.1 million. So they almost got half of what Labour did. And look what they definitely beat the Liberal Democrats, but there was no mention of that anywhere. They got 4.1 and the Lib Dems got 3.5. They don't want you to know certain things about this election, of course. Now, let's have a quick look at what Labour are going to do, because I think this is quite telling. So we'll look at certain aspects of this. We'll look at the economy first. So they're going to provide an economic stability with clear rules on tax and spending policies and more independent oversight. Doesn't really say a lot, doesn't say anything. Cap corporation tax at 25%, replace business rate system and publish a roadmap setting out future business taxes. Now this could be interesting because I definitely think we need some reform within this area. The business rate system is broken, it doesn't work, high streets are collapsing, there needs to be reform there. I'm going to use the word reform by accident all the time here, nothing to do with the Reform Party. Boost growth by reforming the planning system to allow more house building and infrastructure. Now, this is a little bit shaky as to what they want to do because they are talking about certain green belt, which I'm not necessarily for destroying green belt for housing. Now, what else have they got? They're going to set up the Great British Energy and National Wealth Fund to invest in clean energy industries and create 650,000 jobs. Now, I'm all for the job creation. I think this is a good thing. And I think the clean energy is a good thing. And it's a good boost for the economy. But one thing I don't like, and I'll show you later on, is they're 100% renewables. They're pledging to get rid of 100% of all of this other forms of energy, oil and gas, and we're going to ban this and we're going to ban that. This is idiotic, my friends. You read every single paper and you listen to every single non-biased, non-paid for expert who has no skin in the game in this. They're not getting paid to do these surveys. And they will tell you quite clearly, you can't have 100% renewable energy without having some backups. Like you need some gas, you need some oil-based stuff for backups. You need things to be idling. Sometimes the wind doesn't blow. Sometimes the sun doesn't shine, etc. I'm not against renewables. I used to be very heavy against them. I'm not really against them as much today. But the fact that they want to do 100% renewables and they're pledging to climate net zero 100% and all the other stuff is so idiotic. You're going to destroy the GDP, not create more. They're trying to do this balancing act, which I just don't think is going to work, which is that they know they're going to destroy GDP, but they think they're going to create all these new jobs. I just don't really see it because they're not taking into account the energy input that goes into the GDP. You think of like a barrel of oil. Do you realize how much energy is in that one barrel of oil? It is insane. I haven't got the stats on screen here, but you should look at this. It is absolutely insane, the amount of energy in one barrel of oil versus all these solar panels. You should look at the comparison. So what we really need is a blend. You need a sensible head here. You need a blend. If you want to say 80% renewables, fine, but you still need 20% of this dense hydrocarbons. So some of the stuff they're talking about is not going to be good for the economy. They are going to do this industrial strategy focus on UK strength. That doesn't really mean a lot. I don't know what that means. Employment support, job centres, national careers to get people into work. Now, this is a good idea to help people to get back into work who have been left behind. And a lot of people have been left behind, so it's good to get them back into work. Cost of living, not to increase national insurance or VAT or income tax rates. Well, of course not. We've already had that tax. The inflation was the tax, which was created by the central bank and the government. They don't want you to know that, of course, but that is where the current new currency was created, same level of goods and services, so it expanded everything. So that's where the inflation actually came from, as well as the supply chains and a couple of other fringe aspects. But they're not just Labour, but Conservative. They're acting as if, hey, look, we're not raising any taxes. No, you already have. In fact, what you should have done was lowered the taxes slightly to reflect these huge levels of inflation. But of course, they'll never do that, of course. Cut energy bills with a national warm homes plan. They're going to upgrade 5 million homes. Okay, fine. That should also add and boost to revenues. Turn the minimum wage into a real living wage. Okay, so that's another one. They're going to ban 0-hour contracts, what they call exploitative. Now, I'm on the fence with this because I know a lot of people that like 0-hour contracts and the flexibility, and they don't want a full-time or part-time contract. So we'll have to see how this goes. But yeah, fire and rehire, not a good practice. So some of these things that they're pledging are actually positive. And what I'd like for you to do, please, is drop in the comments below if you've been following this closely. What do you think are some of the positives that Labour's bringing in? And what do you think are some of the negatives that they're bringing in? And I am reading the comments. I'd be really interested to know your views on this. They are also, this is a good one, I think. Expand childcare with 3,000 new primary school-based nurseries and free breakfast clubs at every primary school in England. This is an excellent one that they are bringing in. And I think this is just wonderful because, as we know, in the UK now, was it 12% or 14% of children that go to bed hungry every night? But actually breakfast is something like 30 to 40% of children, if the statistics are correct from a BBC study, say they don't have breakfast. They go to school without breakfast. If you're a primary school teacher, you're a school teacher, drop a comment because you know what I'm going to say here. That is the absolute worst possible thing that anyone can do, is to send the kid to school on either a sugary cereal or no breakfast at all. They're either going to have a sugar crash or they're not going to be able to concentrate. Good protein-based breakfast helps with learning. So the fact that Labour is going to do this, I think, is very positive. NHS, they're going to cut the waiting times. How? I still haven't seen exactly how they're going to do that, so I'll believe it when I see it. Guarantee face-to-face GP appointments. They're going to train more GPs. Yeah, but that's going to take years to train more GPs. I think probably what they will do is bring more in from other countries. They'll expand the NHS workforce. Okay, this is another one. 700,000 more NHS dentist appointments a year. Okay, and supervised toothbrushing for 3 to 5 year olds. Surely the parents are doing that, but anyway. 8,500 more mental health staff. And we know why this is happening. It's because the UK, from the video I did, the survey, is the worst in the world with South Africa second for mental health now. So this is a big one. I can see why they are doing that. But you need a lot more than 700,000 dentist appointments. I can tell you that. You need millions. Immigration. They are going to set up a new border security command with counter-terror style powers to stop trafficking gangs and people smuggling. Yeah, I really don't think they are going to do this. I think they'll probably do something towards it, but this is rife everywhere. It really is. They're going to cancel the asylum flights to Rwanda, set up a 1,000-person returns unit to remove failed asylum seekers quickly. I don't think that's going to happen either, as well as clearing the backlog. I don't see this really happening. I think they'll just approve more asylum seekers is probably what will actually happen. And they're going to work internationally to address crises. This is ridiculous. Leading people to flee their homes and help refugees in their home regions. Why is this not going to work? Every year there is billions and billions that goes into this work. And it's been going on for a long time. And yes, it does make an impact. But at the same time, we're seeing the world is shifting. The wealth divide is shifting. Wealth inequality is shifting. People have the internet now. They have cell phones. They have everything else, mobile phones. They can see what's happening in other countries. They've got TikTok and Instagram and all the other platforms. Just as the West living standards move, people in developing nations, their living standards, they see that and they want to move. I've watched all the interviews and listened to these groups, right? So you're not going to stop it by trying to raise the living standards and do work in these countries. People are still going to come and they're not going to do anything. This is one of the negatives I'm seeing from the policies. They have no plans to do anything about all the migration, the unchecked migration crossing the border. There's nothing here at all. They're not even going to do anything. So if you think they're going to stop migration, they're not. It's going to continue. What did they say about the environment here? There was one. Okay, they want to set up a publicly owned Great British Energy, and they want almost all the country's electricity to be guaranteed, UK generated and zero carbon by 2030. This is good that they're going to upgrade the national grid because it needs it. They're going to push through quicker all the connections to the grid as well from the renewables. This is good because it's needed. More teachers, yes, good. Foreign and defense. Now, they are going to provide Ukraine with all of the support it needs. And I actually think that another thing we're going to see, I'll talk about that in a second actually, crime and justice. Crime and justice. 13,000 more police. They want to tackle antisocial behavior, build new prison places, put special rape units in every police force. They want to, again, this is just like the US, tackle shoplifting gangs by allowing police to investigate thefts below £200. It's ridiculous. No wonder there's all these gangs coming in if they can steal £199.99. You see something on the shelf, £199.99. Okay, I'm going to steal that and I won't be investigated. They need to sort this out. But where was the one point I wanted to mention quickly? Oh, yeah. In terms of Ukraine, then, they have said they're going to continue to support it. And I think Labour is going to be even more gung-ho with it because, and I was really thinking about this earlier, a lot of the economy is moving to a wartime economy now, and it's doing well for them. So I think Labour might see that as an opportunity. But we're going to have to see. I want to see your comments in the comments below. I'm going to be reading through. I'd like to know your thoughts on all this. But on that note, grab the program, Module 4 out tomorrow. And apart from that, I will see you, Saturday tomorrow. I'll see you for another stream tomorrow. Take a break on Sunday. So that is it for today. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you tomorrow.